Well, good morning everyone. Welcome to another video. A video about not GPT-4, because everybody's talking about GPT-4, right? That's the hype. We barely had time to breathe with GPT 3.5 Turbo. Now we have another toy to play with, and the internet is going crazy as usual. So I'm not going to talk about GPT-4. There's a lot of talking with GPT-4 already. I'm going to talk about the good old models: DaVinci 001, Curie, Babbage. Yes, Babbage. I'll get there in a minute. So yes, I did try GPT-4. It's pretty cool. It does things better than GPT 3.5 did. I already tested a few use cases. I don't have API access yet, but I hope I will soon. In the meantime, life goes on as usual, and I keep my what I said in my last video, my last two videos. I think that for this particular project, I don't think the ChatGPT models, including GPT-4, is the right approach. I'm really confident in using the fine-tuned models. So let me give you a quick update on that. I fine-tuned another models. Another iteration of the fine-tuning, this time with 400 samples, and the improvements got better again. And I think right now the state is really good, both for the analyzer and the talker components. I think I am like at 90 to 95% success, which means that maybe 1 in every 10 to 15 messages I have to edit and fix it a little bit, but overall it's really good, and I'm really happy because that saves a lot of time. I can actually use the chat in a fluent way without having to worry so much, and it's really great to just see it working as I want it to work. There's really nothing as good as a really well fine-tuned model. One thing that some of you pointed out is that the fine-tuned Curie is quite expensive, and it's true. If you go to the fine-tuned pricing, the pricing to fine-tune is one, and then you have the usage of the fine-tuned model, which in Curie it's almost the double of the original Curie. Now the original Curie is $0.02, which is the same as the new GPT 3.5 Turbo. But when you fine-tune it, it comes almost the same price as the original DaVinci. Now, that's partially true. And what I say partially true, in my use case, the price is still lower than the original fine-tune model, although it's much higher than the original Curie. It's still lower than DaVinci. And the biggest gain I have is it's because when I used the original DaVinci models, when I started, I had to pass huge prompts, especially for the analyzer. I had to pass I had to pass for the analyzer a huge prompt. I was estimating around 800 to 1000 tokens every time, because I had to pass so many examples to get it right. Now when I have a fine-tuned model, I skip the prompt entirely. There is no prompt. There's just input, and then there's an output, and it gets it right pretty much every time. So just in that alone, I'm saving 800 to 900 tokens every single message. And then for the talker, the same thing. There is no prompt. Of course, the talker prompt initially was much smaller than the analyzer because it was simpler, but still, when I take these two prompts out, I save a lot of tokens on API calls. So the savings on using the fine-tuned Curie are much more significant than just comparing these prices alone. You have to consider that you're not using any prompting at all. Okay, that's a very important point. Now, the other thing is I'm still using prompts for DaVinci models when I use the summarizer. So summarizing the chat messages and summarizing memories, that's using DaVinci. And for the new component, which I'm talking about today, I'm also using DaVinci for now. So for the fine-tuning, just to give you a little bit of overview, and to get an idea. I know that some people are interested into starting fine-tuning. Right now, the fine-tuned cost is about $2 for the analyzer and $3 for the talker, because it has longer context. Well, the talker kind of includes the analyzer as well, so it's usually bigger. So just to give you an idea on the sizes, the analyzer is 588K and the talker is 888K. So this translates to $2 and these to $3. So it's about $1 per 300K of text, more or less. So that will give you an idea of what you expect from your fine-tuning costs. So every time I do a fine-tuning, this last one was $5 pretty much, and next time will be higher than that because more data will come in. I'm guessing we'll probably, maybe a 50% increase because of the new component that I've added. Now, one thing I decided to try was, well, if Curie is working so well with these fine-tuned models, and as I keep adding more data to the fine-tuned data file, it will get even better. So I wondered, how good could I get a Babbage model to work? Because if Babbage could work, then I will get that really significant price reduction. It will go back to the price of the original Curie again. So I tried to do a fine-tune for Babbage, both for the analyzer and for the talker. The results were not that impressive, and of course it's Babbage. It's a model that has quite a significant lower number of parameters. So my results were mixed. For the analyzer, it kind of worked, and I think that I will try it again in the future because maybe with a lot of samples it might work well. For the talker, it didn't work so well because the talker really needs, I guess, more language comprehension and understanding of the whole context and kind of infer the meaning and the intent of the user in the conversation, and Babbage really got lost very often in that. So I maybe try it again in the future when I get like 1,000 samples, but not before that. So that was just an experiment I wanted to try. So let me now go to the new thing I want to talk about today. In the last one or two videos, I mentioned that I wanted to experiment with this LangChain-style approach to add kind of a chain of thought and actions, which is really cool, and I really like how LangChain came up with this idea. It's funny that I don't know if it was their idea, but I've seen that GPT-4, in the GPT-4 paper, they do exactly or a very similar approach. Anyway, I started working on it and it was really easy to do, and it's amazing now how easy and how fast I can add new features. It's just so crazy simple to add new features to this. It's not even fun anymore. So what I did, so this was the flow. The user gives an input, it's passed to the analyzer to inject and extract new memories. It's passed to the talker to generate an output, and that message is sent to the user. Now I added a new component here, which I'm calling the tooler. Terrible name, I guess, but I'm not wasting too much time on naming things. So the tooler will ask, after the analyzer has the memories identified, the tooler will ask, should I use a tool to help me come up with an output before saying something to the user? And if yes, it's going to pass an input to a tool. That tool will generate an output, and then it will actually feed it back to another tooler, and then you'll do that n times, as many times as necessary, until it gets to a should I use a tool, and the answer is no. Then it means we are at the end of the chain. When we are at the end of the chain, there's nothing else the tooler can do, so we'll pass all that information, if any, to the talker, which will finally generate an output. So I started by working on a very simple tool. My first tool was just to run a system command. So I could tell something that I would need that could only be known by using a system command. And over these past 1 week or maybe 1.5 weeks, I posted a few screenshots of me testing different tools to social media and to a few discussion boards, and the feedback has been good. So this was the first one where I said, I know I placed a recording I did somewhere inside my home there, but I can't find it. I'm pretty certain the file name had the word recording in it. Can you try to find it for me? Then you don't see all the meta messages, and then it comes up with this. I found one in home Nuno temp recording MKV. Could this be the one you're looking for? So how is this happening behind scenes? So the analyzer is not doing anything special. It's not needed here. So it passes just maybe some irrelevant memories to the tooler. And the tooler is going to run a system command. That system command is going to find a file based on the name. After it finds the file, should I use another tool? No. Pass it to the talker. The talker gets the file name, and then it generates a human output saying, hey, I found this. Let me give you a live example, and I hope this works. Let's ask, for example, what is the Linux kernel this computer is running on? And just let's see if it gets it right. So this is my kernel information.
Is running the Linux kernel version 5.19.035 generic.
All right, it got it right. And by the way, if you heard that, you probably didn't heard it because I think I cut the sound off, but I added a little text-to-speech on the output just to make it more fun. Anyway, as you can see, it got it right. Now let me show you how it works behind the scenes. So what is the Linux kernel this computer running on? The analyzer has 0 output here, not needed, no new memories. Do I need to use the tool? Yes. What is the tool? Run a command. What is the input? uname /r, which was very similar to it. Oh, it's even better than what I did. Look, it's even smarter than me. So we got this output. Do I need to use the tool? No. Then it picks this and it generates the output. And that's how it works. It's pretty simple and it works really well. Now what's really cool is that once I've got this whole system done, it's so easy to make new tools. And everything that can just pick an input and generate a textual output, I can plug it here and it works. So right now I have just 3 basic tools. Let me show you. Well, this is the prompt for the tooler. It's very simple. It's based on the LangChain prompts, but simplified. Because one problem I've seen with LangChain is that they have huge prompts, very, very descriptive prompts. And I guess they're lucky because with ChatGPT 3.5, the prompt cost is much lower, because with the original ones, at that prompt size, any project running LangChain in a chatbot style, it will get very expensive very fast. So I get just a very short introduction. I put a timestamp in. All these variables are going to be replaced live when the prompt is used. Then I inject the tools that are available. It's a description of the tool name plus a description of what it does, so that you can pick it up. How can he use the tool, or when should he use it? Then it gives some instruction on how to use it. This is based on the LangChain project. And then if there is no tool, it should use this format, and that's it. Then I inject the memories, the conversation history, the previous chain, so that we need to keep the previous chains, so that it follows the logic of what it's doing. And then this is part of the prompt. Do I need to use the tool? And then yes or no, and then it begins. So let me show you the tools that I have right now. Right now I have 4 tools. run a command, which is the one you saw just now. Then I have the calendar tool. The calendar tool allows me to find events between a period of time and to find event by name, which is really cool. I'll show you in a minute. And then I plugged in a weather tool for a weather API. Of course, there's always need to be a weather API, right? So it gives me a 5-day weather forecast, which is pretty cool also. This is based on the free weather API. Let me just show you the calendar thing. I did this small demo that I also posted on social media. Do I have anything scheduled for tomorrow? Tomorrow, Monday 14, you have plans to have an ISP install done from 1 to 6. This is the first case. So this is where I ask, do I have anything happening in a specific period of time? So it runs this kind of action. Now in the second case, I ask him something different. I ask him, when is the event on the future of work and AI? So this is, I'm not searching for events in a particular period. I'm searching for a particular event and I'm asking, when is it? So for this, I have this particular action called find event by name. It takes a description or name and it does a kind of a fuzzy search in a calendar, and then it returns all events that match that search. So in this case, it says, according to your calendars, there's an event, the future of work, reinventing productivity with an AI. As you can see, the text is not exactly the same, so it's a fuzzy search, on the 16th, Thursday at 15. So this is the example for the calendar, which is pretty useful. And then there's the weather forecast. So if I ask, what is the max temperature for today? Let's see if it works. Live demos are always a mystery. It's funny because sometimes I've seen that the tool fails. Okay, so do I need to use the tool? Yes. Weather forecast, input none. Action output, current weather, and then 5-day forecast. So for today, the max temperature that we have, and this output it's not raw output from the API. The API gives me hourly output for a 7-day window, which is too much to fit in a prompt. So what I did, I'm using only a 5-day forecast, and I summarized each day in these 4-hour periods, which I think are the most important to have an idea of how the weather is during the day. So for today, we have 14 degrees as the highest temperature. The current temperature is okay, so here it didn't pick it up so well, because I asked what is the max temperature and he gave me not such a good answer. So this is quite okay because the fact is that I introduced this tooler when I already had 300 fine-tuned samples without the tooler. So this is something new that I've added, and that a lot of my fine-tuned samples don't have yet. So it's still struggling sometimes with how to use this data to generate the output of the talker. So I'm guessing that in the next fine-tuning, because I'm using the tooler a lot now, in the next fine-tuning it will be quite more proficient in using the output of the tooler to generate the output of the talker. So for now it's still struggling a little bit sometimes, but most of the time it gets it right, as you can see from the run command. In this one, maybe the output was just too big and it struggled a little bit. So in this case, what I do, I need to fix it. This is one of the 5 to 10% cases where I need to still fix it. And as you know, I have a pretty easy way to do this. So in this case, what is the maximum for today? The output would have been, I would like to see something like, according to today's weather forecast, the max temperature will be, and then will be 14 degrees centigrade at around 600. And then I save it. So now this data will be used when I export it again, now it knows what it should do with this kind of flow in the conversation. Yeah, so that's a summary of what I've been doing so far. I don't think I will add more tools to this. Maybe something really useful comes up, I'll add it. But for now, it's really useful. The calendar is really useful for me. The run command is really useful for me as well. I want to train it a little bit more in doing stuff. I want to train it in the multi-chain, doing things step by step. Because right now it usually only does one step, gives me the result, but I wanted to train the chain of doing commands after a command after a command. But I will not spend too much time working on this, because this was a kind of a detour for my original intent with this project, which was to mimic a mind. So this is all cool stuff, but I want to go back to my original intention, the original purpose. And we have the memorization, we have a good chat, we have this tooling, which is great, we have the fine-tune going. I think pretty much the core is done. Now I want to go further into the mind aspects. I want to work on reflection, maybe using this kind of chain concept to do more thinking. And one big thing that I want to do is to have the AI to take initiative to initiate conversation, because this is what makes it different from a really robotic chatbot, is that it only responds, it never initiates conversation. And that's what I wanted to do. And in one case that I see that mine is already working is that sometimes it knows that it's not necessary to reply. This is a perfect example. I asked him something, it gave me a reply, I said thanks. Try to do that in ChatGPT. It will always say, no problem, I'm here to help, anytime, blah blah blah. I've trained it to, sometimes you can say that, but sometimes it's really useless to always reply. It's like when I say, see you tomorrow, okay bye, and no, there's a point where you don't need to reply anymore. And here you look, live demo, it worked at the first. I said thanks, and it didn't feel like, okay, I need to say no problem or you're welcome. It's fine like that. The conversation can stop there. So this is for me what makes it more natural, and I want to do that, but having the chatbot to initiate the conversation. So I didn't say anything, and at some point during the day it actually say, hey, I thought about this, and initiates conversation. So that's when I want to go next, and it's going to be, I think, a big part of this, and probably a difficult part of this. I still have no idea how to start it, but I need to start it soon. So anyway, that's it for today's update, and I'll keep you posted and see you soon. Thanks for watching.